Right. Good morning, everyone. We are going to be starting now. Let me first open this project. So we're going to be using the project we used last time to illustrate some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. So as always, my name is Dodo, and I'll be your host for today. And we're going to just go ahead and get to it. And we're going to be starting with something called HTML semantics. I want to see in the chat what you guys think about HTML semantics. In the chat, or you can even raise your hand and we will let you unmute and tell us what you think. What do you think is HTML semantics?
It's also okay to say that you don't know what it is about.
Let's see. Guys, do you know what HTML semantics is or what it means? If it doesn't mean anything to you in terms of HTML and CSS or front end, it's still okay. Maybe that's why we're here today. Pauline is saying HTML semantics are HTML elements like divs. Anyone else? Okay, as Sifio says, HTML semantics are tags used inside of HTML. Anyone else? Okay, Kelvin says HTML semantics are those that clearly describe their meaning, I think, in human and machine readable way. Okay, interesting. Okay, Jeffet says HTML semantics is a code that is understandable. Esther says, I guess, like elements that have meaning to the browser and also the developer. Eli says, HTML semantics refers to the idea that all your HTML markup should convey the underlying meaning of your content, but not its appearance. All right, it's getting interesting. Robert says that there are divs and spans, things like that. Okay, different views on this. All right, Eme says, with semantics, you provide additional information that helps Google and Bing to understand the roles and relative importance of the different parts of your page. Also another interesting one. Eli says, no, but says elements that add more emphasis and explain more. Okay. Um, mhm. All right. All right. Okay. Where it says briefly, HTML semantics are HTML elements with meaning. Um, Mugawa says the HTML tags that clearly describe the meaning to the dev and the machine. Okay. We have a few more, but I can see that most of you guys, getting close to the point. A few missing the point completely, but we're going to be seeing what HTML semantics is all about. Okay, so I want us to basically, let me give you this link just in case. I want us to read this, just maybe a part of this document together. And this is like a great resource for documenting yourself on, most of the topics that we're covering, in these days, all about HTML and CSS, right? And yeah, so semantic HTML. Let me maybe show you this first. So when you look at this, let me collapse. Oh, no, there are other divs inside. Okay, so basically, when you look at this HTML document that we have, let me open it in the browser. This is what we basically created last time we were together, and we were just trying to put things to give things meaning and have kind of like a structure, but the elements that we used here on the page things like these mostly to structure our page. And what this means is that for the purpose of having a structure and having a way to to structure our page with CSS, to style our page with CSS, we have to have like containers for different elements. So what we did was basically to use divs and give them classes so that we can style them. But that is not how we should be doing that. In a sense that HTML5 gives us, let me see, HTML5 gives us elements that are basically, designed, made for that purpose. Okay, and it's basically, a way for us developers and also screen readers, for example, if people need accessibility features, like if someone is not able to see and they're blind and they still want to browse your website, what's going to help them is the screen readers are going to be kind of lost if all they see is divs, and they'll think of all this as one element, for example, and they won't know that maybe this is the navigation. And maybe because when screen readers are reading a page, they would let's say, for example, if it's a blog page and they just want to read the blog post and they don't want to read all of this navigation bar and for example ads, maybe those are not the things that they want to read. So they want to know where's the main content of the page. We just open the article page. You want to read the blog post, you open the blog post page, but then because you don't have the right structure, the right elements to describe, you know, the content of that, you know, particular section is, then it's going to be hard for screen readers to be able to identify the content of that, you know, particular, you know, part of your web page. Okay, so let's think about, for example, you know, a page like this. You know, a good way to structure, you know, the page is basically to have these HTML tags that, you know, are more descriptive, and you know, it's just the markup basically. So if you have a header, screen readers will say, okay, so this is maybe this is a header, and maybe this is where the main content is going to start. Maybe if you wrap all of these into maybe another one that is more descriptive, like maybe let's say main, this will be you know, very, very useful for accessibility, for example. And also for yourself as a developer, if you come across, you know, some UL with some links inside, it's going to be hard to identify, okay, is this the navigation bar, which is, you know, supposed to be at the top, or is this some other navigation? What is it? But if you have, you know, a content wrapper, which is called footer, you're going to know that, okay, so this is some sort of footer, either some footer maybe in a section, you know, in the middle of the page, because you can have also, we're going to see how maybe like this work. It doesn't have to be like at the bottom of the page, but it might be at the bottom of a section or an article, for example. So it's going to also be easy for you to identify, okay, so this is a footer, this is a header. If it's, you know, on top of the elements, then this is probably going to be, you know, a navigation bar at the top, or, you know, a sidebar here, a sidebar menu, or something like that. And it's going to be easier for you when thinking about it, and you know, also styling it. Yeah, so that's basically how I would put it. And yeah, so if you open this page right here, you see that most of people who are you know, giving explanations of what they think HTML semantic is, were actually right, except for the people who said that they are divs. We are actually trying to reduce as much as we can the use of just divs. These are just placeholders, the container tags that we use to just have a simple container, no questions asked. Okay, but then in the spirit of using, you know, of being more descriptive in our, you know, HTML markup writing, we have to use, you know, these elements that make much more sense, right? So we're going to be looking at a few, and we're going to see how we can maybe improve this, you know, this markup that we already had right here, based on maybe how it looks, and see if we can use different elements. To find HTML semantic elements, just go to MDN, or just Google MDN semantic. You'll see, okay, you see Mozilla Developer, okay, Mozilla Developer Network. You see, you know, maybe one of the pages that has what you need, and not this, sorry, the first one. Yeah, so HTML semantics, this is what we want, okay. And you can already see, you know, we have some documentation for the most used HTML semantic tags, as I would say. So some of these tags are already HTML, semantic tags, mainly, the heading tags, um, because the heading tags are actually what gives structure to the page. For example, if we have an H4, an H4 is going to be a title, and anything with lesser value, H4 is going to be in the outline of a page. It's going to be under this H4. So these P tags are considered just the text, which is under this H4. So to maybe look at your structure, the layout of your page, you can just say, I can just come here and say there's HTML. Let me find the right websites. HTML outliner, not layout. There's this tool that's called HTML outliner. This will give us an outline of our HTML. Let's, for example, see how our outline looks like. So this is our website, and this is our HTML, index HTML. Let's outline this and see what we are working with. So okay, so these are titles, and this is because these are the headings, okay? And you'll see that we have, first of all, we have one logo. We have the logo. This is an H1, and any content under H1, any content which has like a lesser value than H1 is going to be under that H1 in terms of like the outline of the page or the importance that this element has. So you need to be very, very careful with how you use the headings and how you structure the whole thing. So for now, let's just go ahead and try to think about our page and see what we're going to be working with. First of all, we're going to be thinking about the way we wrote this HTML. We're going to start at the top. So instead of using this div, because we're using Flexbox, sometimes it's okay to use these if you don't have any HTML semantic tag which is suitable for that particular row. But for now, I think inside of the body we have our page container, and instead of even maybe using a div to just wrap content around it, what we can do is actually maybe take this class of the page container, remove this div and here, and apply that class on the body right there. And this will actually even not be necessary to use this class, but let's see if we still have the page like we had before. Yes, we still have the page. Okay, and what we're going to be doing is actually maybe removing even this class because maybe we don't even need it. What we'll do is apply all the styles from the page container to the body element before we continue. All right, so if we do this, our layout is going to be broken. And what we'll do is we'll go to CSS and instead of having this page container, we'll actually apply these styles on the body itself. and remove that class because we no longer have it. And we'll come here and apply the styles on the body. And we'll still have the same layout as we had before. Okay. And if you look at you see that like one div is already eliminated. Okay. And this is a first step. Okay. And basically, what we're going to be doing here is, going down this document, trying to see if we can, eliminate the use of divs or see if there's any HTML semantic tag that we can use instead of just using a div with a class. Okay. So the first one that we need to deal with is the nav, the navigation. This div with the navigation. But what we basically have is, what we can use in this case is something like a header. Let's see if a header is perfect for us. Do we have a header? Yes. Yeah, so the header element, you just have to read about this and see if you're using them in the correct sense, because if you don't use these HTML semantic tags in the correct way, it's going to be worse than using divs and doing the right thing with them. Okay, so you need to understand any tag that you're using, see if you're using them correctly. Okay, so the header HTML element represents introductory content, typically a group of introductory or navigational aids. It may contain some heading element, but also a logo, a search form, an author's name if it's a blog, for example, and some other elements. So in our case, it's going to be containing the logo, the H1, which is a logo, and also this group of links, and we can actually get rid of this class of nav right there and use the header tag. So we replace this div with a header tag like so, and inside of the header tag we can have these two, but because this is a nav, we can actually wrap this UL inside of a nav. Let's see if a nav might make sense in this case. So a nav is basically an element that represents a section of a page whose purpose is to provide navigation links, either within the current document, or to other documents. So it's basically like a menu, and this is what it is, a menu. And but first, let's look at our CSS. And instead of having a .nav, we have a header. We select the header instead of that class of nav, and see if our page is not broken. All right. So we still have it right there. Okay. Yeah. Does anyone have the full CSS that we wrote this day? I don't think I have everything. I think I lost some styles because this is not how it was looking like. If you have the paste bin that I shared last time, you can just send it maybe in the chat. All right, but in the meantime, CSS is not our concern right now. Our main concern is getting things, still, looking like, the layout, looking the same, but using more semantic tags. So I want to ask, where do we put the nav in this case? Let's see. Anyone who wants to share, who wants to tell me where I need to put the nav inside of the header? Do I wrap it around all of this, or only all of this, or around the allies? What do we do? Based on what you guys think. You can even unmute and say something.
Yes, yes.
Either.
Yes, thanks. I think the nav can go before the UL elements, like yes.
So I wrap
UL
UL instead of an
yes, and you close it, down the UL. Yes, other press. Yes.
All right. Okay, nice. If I do this, then we're going to have okay, maybe our styles are not the styles that we had before, and they're not being affected because it's just the links. So this now makes much more sense in terms of, okay, so this is a header, and this header has an H1 and a nav. The nav contains the links. So this is basically how I would do this. Okay. Let me. Right. So moving on. How should we take care of this section right here? What do we do with this? Any ideas?
Question about that now. Does it mean that all taggings that you are taking between those navs which is open and navs which is closing are going to be navigated? Dashboard, analytics, report, cars are the one which are going to be navigated. Thank you.
All right. Okay, exactly. Maybe we didn't write all the markup right here, but what we should have done is to actually make this li, a parent of an anchor tag, like so. So this a tag, it goes somewhere. Let's say slash dashboard or something like that. But for now, let's just make it like that, and then we'll have our dashboard right there. So this is what you usually do when you want to make a navigation. As you wrap everything in a link, and then you you implement it like that. But some people also like to even just get rid of all this, the UL, but it's all a matter of preference, and see, do I need to have this structure and make sure that, I understand that this is a list of links and group them together. It's all, a choice that I can make. The dashboard.
I think logo should go inside nav as well. That's okay. How about,
Yes,
I mean, logo should be inside nav or not?
Are you sure? Why? Why should we put it inside inside the nav?
Yeah, otherwise
Guys,
it won't look nice on the website,
yeah.
on the web page.
No, it's not even about styling, because we don't worry about styling right now. All we worry about is the markup. What did we have? Guys, what do you think? Should we put this nav inside, above the H1?
Mic check.
Check.
Yes, I think we can put the logo inside the nav, because sometimes on some websites The
Mhm.
logo is used as a link to go back to the home page if you
Mm.
are on other parts of the
Yes.
website.
And then this this H1 will need to be clickable, right?
Yeah, right,
Or
right.
sometimes it could be also an image, this logo, not just an H1 in other cases. Right, you see, so this is all going to be based, on decisions that you make. How do you want to, do you want this to be, do you want this to be part of the navigation? If yes, then you can put it inside the nav. And if you put it inside the nav, you have to have a separation of, that element with the rest of the nav, since you will also want to style them differently. So you want to maybe put this at the beginning. So you'll need to have a UL with, anchor tags inside of the list items, so that you can even style them. Okay, so in this case, we can do either. So according to me, I think it's okay right here. But if you're going to have this logo be part of the navigation, you can also put it inside of here. Okay. Are we all together?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Cool. So it depends mainly on the use case, of these things. Okay. So moving to this side, what element can we use to, denote the content of the page? Because what we have here is just the navigation. In this case, just a sidebar, but we made it now. But what we could also have done is to actually not make this a header, but make this, an aside. In the case of this, maybe in this layout, so an aside element will, will be saying, okay, so this is going to be, a sidebar element. Let me see if I'm not. If aside is a valid one. No, present again. Yeah, I think it's that aside. Okay, so yeah, so based on this, this kind of layout, this could be an aside element instead of a header, and it could still make sense, right? If it's going at the top of the page, we have like, a navigation bar at the top, and we have some content, then the header might make much more sense. Okay, but since this is an aside element, we can actually replace this for aside, and we'll have the same kind of layout. Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. So for this part right here, what can we do to make it much more descriptive? Instead of using a div, what could we use? A section tag. So let's look up a section tag. Okay, let's actually look at this. I think it has sections. So a section element is sort of like article, but you have to understand article before maybe. But this is basically what this does. A section is an element which would not make sense on its own. Okay, so it's that's how I would say it, but it's basically like a div, like it can stand alone. Like let's say a footer, you can put a footer somewhere, and you know that it's going to be it's going to have this row of a footer. Okay, it's going to be at the bottom of some other content, not just maybe at the bottom of the page, but at the bottom of some other content. So what we can do is, because we have some things, we have like, a title and, some content, then we can make this an article, this content an article, or, just to make sure that the screen readers maybe start to read the page, excuse me, to read the page from here, we can just make this a main tag. And then we can remove the class of main and style the main tag itself, because we won't have, as many different main tags. So we don't even have any styles for main in this case. Let's see. Some things are going to be broken, but let's see if we can get some more styles. Yeah. Okay, everything is broken because we changed everything else. Content. All right, so the sidebar. It's not even called sidebar anymore. It's called the side. And the body still needs these styles. All right. Sidebar. Okay. All right, let's all right. We don't worry about we're not worrying about CSS right now, but let's give it like 300 pixels width. Then we can just work with this. Okay, so basically because we have a title and some content, we can make this a main tag, but we could also make this an article, or we can wrap an article around this, just in case we have more content. Okay, so instead of having content like this, we can just have okay, things are going to be okay. So you should do this actually as you start to write your markup, not after. So we can just write article and wrap everything around it, but the styles might be broken. So instead of the article, an article is something that makes sense on its own, right? It's like some text and some images and or videos or buttons and links and all that, which are going to be making sense, to people who, even if they just read it, they just understand without needing to maybe read the, let's say the sidebar. Okay, so this is what an article is, and you can actually look up more about the article on MDN as well. Article content element. So this is just an element that contains some content, and you say, it's an element that represents a self-contained composition in a document, a page or application or site. So it's intended to be independently distributable, for example, reusable. Let's say, for example, if it's a blog page would have like a title and some content, and this blog could be, on, let's say, medium.com, could be on inyarwanda.com, because it's just a blog post and people, it has all the information someone would need. That's what an article is. If it cannot stand on its own, if it's not self-contained, you can use something like a section, right? Section is more suited for that because a section can actually be part of the article, could be part of the page. You could use it, where you would, okay, in normal cases, you use articles, in places of divs, but also if things don't, are not complete, it's like, part of the page, a small part of the page, you can also use a section, right? Yeah, that's what I would say about that. So in our case here, we can actually use article, and then inside of here, we can actually use section instead of this. You can say section, and then you can remove the content. We can actually have a section which has a class of content, because you might even have many different sections. So this div should actually be inside and out, and then it should be called section. All right. So this is basically how I would restructure this, and there's more useful. There are more useful semantic elements. You can read about them here on this page that I gave you. It just goes into details, on where you use articles and where you don't use them. Headers and footers. We don't have a footer on our page, but a footer would actually be, let's say inside of the body, we have, let me show you how different this is going to be now. So inside of our body, we have an aside, which is maybe a sidebar, and then we have the main, and then after the main, we could have a footer as well. And that footer will say, okay, so this is now the bottom of the page, because it's in the term, let's say footer. Okay, there's no let's say, okay, let's do that, for example. So now you see that, instead of having div, maybe div of a class of, sidebar, something like that. Now we have, a much more well-structured page, with different elements and content, based on the need that we have at that point. Okay. So this is mainly what I would say. So this document will go into details, where to use the aside for things like this. Like maybe if this is an article, then you can have an aside of maybe, the highlight of that paragraph. You can see that in blog post or news, news websites, where you see, okay, let's say, for example, it's some maybe a lesson from that particular paragraph. Then they put it here, or a quote or something like that. And aside, and then now, for example, that goes to different links, or an aside that has, some ads. For example, let's say if you're running a blog website and you have, you're running some ads, from Google, then you can display them, something like this. Then this could be a footer, this could be a header. But there could be also a header here. Let me show you headers. So there could also be a header inside of here. As you can see, so there's a header for the whole page, which maybe contains a nav, with different links, and maybe an image, which is also a link. And then, it depends on how you want to structure your page, and there are no rules that says, okay, inside of a header, you have to have, only a nav inside there. You could have more elements, but based on the context of things that you're writing, or, the layout that you have that you want to achieve, right? And okay, yeah, so let's say footers as well. A footer can also be, a footer for the whole page, or a footer for a particular section, like an article, or a footer for an aside, right? As long as it's the bottom part of a particular section, okay? So you also learn that sometimes you can use a div, but it only when it's absolutely necessary, and when you don't have a relevant semantic element to use. You could use a div, for example, when you're using flexbox, which is very important. So if you don't have anything that doesn't make sense, any semantic element that don't make sense, that makes sense in that case, you can use a div, but only when it's absolutely necessary, right? You learn more things, in semantics, like, date and time as well, the address, the figure and fig caption. I don't know fig and fig caption. Like figure and fig caption, just to display an image, maybe an image with, the caption under it, beneath the image. Things like this. So there's a few, like these are the most used HTML semantic tags right here. Right. So this is basically it. Make sure that you check this one out. Let me send this again on Discord. All right, cool. So I want us to take 5 minutes, ask some questions. If I'll try to answer some questions. If you guys have, anything, burning, for example, if there was anything in the chat, and we'll go ahead and tackle that, and we'll move to the next section of today's session. All right, maybe no one has a question. All right, which is great. And let me see, let me still open this to the side and see how it looks like. Okay, so it looks like, if my screen was bigger, there would be a white space right here. And let me maybe make this smaller, see how it looks on mobile. Let me first inspect this and see. Oh, this is the footer section. All right, let me remove the footer section and we'll be good to go. All right, cool. So I think we're good now. All right. Sarah says, I don't understand what the difference between using a section and an article tag. So a section would be something that don't make sense on its own. For example, let me see. Let's take an example of a website. Let me go to andela.com, for example. See what we what we could use as a section or an article, right? So this could be a section, right? This could be a section, but right, so that could be a section because it doesn't make sense on its own. Like, what do you mean build remote engineering teams with the world's top talent, higher talent? What does it mean? What do we want to do with this? There's not even a mention of the company itself, right? So this could be a section, all right? And it's actually called a section. So it's a section of this page, right? This could be another section, right? It has, it could be a section with a class of maybe, companies we work with or something like that, something along those lines. Definitely not companies we work with, but maybe clients or something like that. Okay, so this could be another section. These are actually actual sections, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to just, this cannot go on another site and make sense, right? If you can take this, put it on another site and, have it make sense, then that should not be an article. It should be a section, right? Let me show you what an article would be. Right. So an article would be this. So this would be an article. Okay, because if you take this and take it to even another site, if you read this, you'll be able to understand everything, right? It's just like a content container and content wrapper where this, reading from here, I will talk about GitHub, and here we have something that people at GitHub say about Andela, for example, and this is actually going to make sense all on its own because this is a case study. The wrapper for all of this will make sense. Okay, this will be a breadcrumbs. This could be like a nav or something like that. Okay, but this should be an article. Okay, but this is a section, right? And it's just playing with, trying to understand, read about articles and sections on the link that, where I just shared, for example, or the one I shared in, on Discord. It's the same link, and you'll be able to understand, what all of that means. Okay. Sarah, I don't know if you answered. Did that answer your question? Oh, the source code I'm using for this is already on Pastebin. Oh, maybe for the semantics, I can create another Pastebin at the end because we're still going to be using this for the rest of today. All right.
Question.
So, I'll share it at the end. We can use divs whenever you're not sure about what HTML semantic tag to use a div. Okay, if you want a container and you're not sure about which one to use a div. But you should not just use a div because you don't know. You should research and see, okay, what do I have here? What type of content do I have? Okay, I have maybe just a section and things that would not make sense on their own. They are part of a larger kind of like context. Then use a section for that case, and you use an article for something that would make sense on its own.
Thank you.
All right. Cool. I think that. So for now, we're going to be moving on to the second phase of this session. But give me a second to prepare something. All right. Yeah, for Ivan, there are ways you could use images and in a more, semantic style. For example, with a figure tag, but you have to first understand why you can use a figure tag. But in most cases, you're just going to be using an image tag. But if it's, say, for example, an image with a caption, then you can use a figure and fig caption to create that. And you have to first read about that. Okay, so you can just say figure engine, and then you read about how do you use figure and how do you add a caption to that. Right. This is the use case. But if you don't have like a caption, then there's no need to do that. Yeah, but then it's still a good way to put images on a page. Yeah. Cool. So the second part is responsiveness. Right? How do we make our pages responsive? Right. So that's a thing. So in the work that you did, we had, in the challenge that you did, we had let me see. Okay. So we had the desktop version.
Mic check, Dodo.
Yes.
I was asking if there is a particular CSS styles for aside or article tags in HTML.
Oh no, they're just like these. It's just containers, really. But if you're, if something is behaving unnaturally, then you can just check. You can just use. Let me show you. So you can just inspect and then do this. Select maybe this is a section. Then look at what it is. So it's basically a block element. Let me add maybe check.
Dodo, we can't see the screen.
Oh, let me share again. Okay, so let me, for example, add. But I need this for the next section. Let's say, for example, I add inside of here, I add maybe an aside. Okay, let's see the the default styles for aside. Okay, so we can come here and look at our HTML. We have our aside. There's no style by default, right? There's nothing. The element style, nothing. Okay. So it doesn't give us, except that it's, it's a block level element. If you put in, for example, a p tag, you see, like, it doesn't like mess with, it's just like a div. So if you put in a block level element, it's going to be a block level element, right? Like a p tag. It's just going to be an element with display block, and it's just going to stay there. Okay, so you can see. Let me see if I can bring this in. So your p tag is going to still be a block element. Your aside is going to have nothing inside of it, right? Except that all our asides have a background color and a width, which we set here in CSS. So if you remove these, man-made styles, or the styles that we made, it's just going to be an element without any style, except that it's a display block, right? When you see user agent style sheet, it means that these are the default styles by the browser. It's just a block level element, right? But the tags, the M tags and the strong tags, keyboard again. Okay, so for example, an M tag is going to be an inline element. Let's look at that. P set up there. We have M. It's going to be user agent style sheet. It's just going to have, the font style of italic, and that's going to be it, because that's all the role is playing. And the strong tag is going to have, strong. It's going to have the style of bold, basically, and that's that will be it. P tag to what do we have? Strong. We didn't say. Right, we have strong. The user agent style sheet. Right, again, the only style we have is bold. Right. If you add any other style, it will show up, but there's nothing else. Right. These are the default styles for those elements. All right. So let's cover some responsiveness now. I hope that you are answered. If you're not sure about the default styles for any element, you just check. You just inspect and check.
Might check, Dodo. These aside and the article tags arise a problem on my side. On a lot of web page websites, maybe on a web app, most of the time you see in an advertisement messages or maybe element on a web page, but I don't know how that design works. Are they designed using these tags, or there is some advanced one?
So that's there are some ads that are just widgets injected by JavaScript, but you don't have to worry about that. What you need to worry about is are you able to design to implement the design that you have? I was going to say in your design. So are you able to implement your design with HTML and CSS, right? If you are, tasked to create, those ads, then you'll have to figure out a way. But that's beyond the scope of what we're doing right now. What we need to know is, how do we display text, images, colors, buttons, links on a page in a layout that we need. Okay, that's all we care about right now.
Yeah, what I wanted to know is that if it's designed. They use HTML and CSS.
Yes,
That's only what I wanted to.
yes, they use HTML and CSS.
Thank you so much.
They're clickable if there's like a button to click, or if the image is, clickable, just maybe has a hyperlink on it. It's just HTML and CSS, and you can inspect. If you even have, like for anything really, like you can inspect anything, on the internet, on any website. So if you find some advertisements, for example, on LinkedIn, you can just, right click, inspect, as long as you're using Chrome or, any other modern browser, Firefox, Safari, anything, you can just inspect and look at different elements. What is this? Is this a logo? They're using a div with a logo, and these are the styles, right? It's just like, even at Google, they're still using the same CSS rules that we use. It's a display block. It's the same thing. This is an input, right? So this is an input. Has more styles maybe, but the radius, they're using some CSS magic, but it's just something that we also use. Okay. So you can just inspect anything and see how they made it. All right, cool. So moving on, we're not going back to the semantics. As long as you know where to find help, as long as you know where to do your research, the website to trust is always the MDN on these topics. Anything they say, we need to agree on that. And yeah, let's move on to this. So basically, in our challenge one, we had something like this, and which is what most of you did, okay? And others tried to do. Since some of you were not able to center this correctly, and others were able to center it correctly, and others made it look very, very good on small screen sizes, right? They changed the layout on smaller devices, right? Which looks much more like this. Right? It looked much more like this section of different cards. It looked like this on mobile, but this is how do we achieve something like this, right? So let's see. But on the link I gave you guys, this. On the link I gave you, there's some responsiveness, resources. I'll maybe share it at the end. So what we can do is, we have this layout. What we're going to be worrying about, there's basically, three things that we need to think about. How do we want this to look on mobile? If we maybe simulate a mobile device. Okay, by the way, this is how you simulate a mobile device. Just click, you just open the developer tools by right clicking and hitting inspect. And then you click on this toggle device toolbar. Okay, so once you do this, you're going to see something like this. So this is how our page is going to look like. Okay, so our page is going to look like this, and this is on iPhone 10, for example. On iPad, it's going to look like this, right? And on different devices in Chrome, you can simulate different devices on iPhone 6, on Pixel 2. This is how it's going to look like. On our Motorola, it's going to look like this. On Samsung, it's going to look like this. So it's basically not how we want it to look like. Okay, so what do we do in this case? Like, what do we want our page to look like on mobile devices, right? That's a question that we ask ourselves all the time, but we are actually, the developers are the ones who think about all of these before we put out our website. And most of the time, someone will send you a link on, let's say on WhatsApp, and you're going to be, clicking on that link. But when it opens up, it's still going to be opening up maybe in Chrome on, maybe a Pixel device or a Samsung, for example, right? So how do we make sure that, things look good, on all devices? Okay. We achieve that using something called media queries. I'd like to show you something real quick. There are a few, responsive design patterns for the web. Let me find this and show you. Please mute your mic if you're not helping us understand this. We want to learn how to create responsive designs. Okay, so there's basically a few of these patterns, and I can give you this. Let me send this link actually on Discord. You can go ahead and learn more. Responsive type design patterns. Right, so you can go ahead and read all about this. So it's actually on Google, and it's just a theory that they have, and basically these patterns are going to be like using Flexbox in the code examples given here. You can go ahead and like read everything, but what we care about right now is these few areas here. So there's this thing called mostly fluid. Sometimes you hear people say fluid containers sometimes, and it's not just it's not just like a made up word. It's just because the layout is fluid, and I'm going to show you why. So if I click on try it, so this is our page. This is how it looks. This is basically a wide screen, and like I'm on a wide screen right now. That's maybe you can see it as small, but I'm going to be showing you, and I'm on 100%, as you can see. Right, I'm on 100% zoom. Okay, so there's no zooming in or out. Okay, I'm just going to be resizing the window of this page. Okay, so if I open the developer tools, you're going to see, the width, the screen I have, how big it is, and you're going to see once I go, smaller, it's going to be changing the way it looks. So we have our, navy blue, light blue, blue, and then light blue, and then gray. Bluish gray, and then gray. So you're going to see all these sections, become, get stacked on top of each other. This is what we call a fluid container, right? Or like mostly fluid. Let me see. Okay, it's at the back. We'll go back and read more. So once I hit, let's count. Let's count this number, as you can see here: 800 pixels, 300, 830 pixels, and it's going to go when it's below 800. 800 is okay, but 799, boom, things start to break out on the bottom page. And then when you go smaller, it becomes these are going to start to be stacked on top of each other, right? And until infinity, I guess, right? So we can also simulate this with devices. We can just say, okay, on a phone, it's going to be stacked on top of each other on most phones, even on a Galaxy Fold, because it's very slim. It's going to, like, the slimmest maybe of the phones I know. So Galaxy Fold is going to look like this, right? These are containers, and on maybe a bigger phone like Pixel 2 XL, this is how it's going to look like. We have our, things stacked on top of each other, and then on, let's say, an iPad, this is how they're going to look like. And then if you go to another tablet view, it's going to look like this. But on a laptop, it's going to look like this, right? On a bigger screen, it's going to look even, we're going to increase these margins, but having this container kind of have one particular width throughout. Okay, so let me go back and show you these patterns. Yeah, so you can look at the visualization. This is what we're looking at. So for phones, it's going to look like this. For tablets, like this. For desktop computers, like this. No, for like your laptop. And then for bigger screens, like wide screens, it's going to just add, to stay like this, but add more margins on the side. Okay, so when you're designing a page like this, for example, it's very important that you know how things are going to look on different screen sizes. And sometimes you just want to limit, maybe how big your containers can expand, maybe have a fixed width, after a particular point. Okay, so this is what we call, mostly fluid, or a fluid container. Okay, so the next one is called column drop. And it's just going to be, let me show you. So you don't have to use anything, anything in particular. You use them based on the design that you want. But let me show you just different patterns for different containers. For different reasons that you may want to use. So this is, you're just going to have everything. If you have the screen real estate, then, if you have enough screen size, then you have everything on, just one column, and on one row, and then it's going to be dropping when it gets to, to a particular point. Like if you can't fit, then it's going to drop to the next until each element, each section here has its own row to occupy. All right, this is how it's going to look like, basically. So this is what we call column drop. It's just going to be dropping down, as the columns get smaller, right? And then there's another one called layout shifter. Layout shifter is basically the idea that, maybe on a bigger screen, we have the screen, enough screen to maybe show a sidebar, but maybe on a smaller device, this sidebar will become the navigation bar at the top. Let's see how that works. Okay, so for bigger screens, we have, our sidebar. We have maybe the title and the content, or just the content, and then two sections there. And then when you go smaller, it's okay, still okay. We remove the margin, but now it becomes a fixed width. Then boom, it's going to go at the top. Let's say this is a navigation. The navigation goes at the top, maybe the footer, and then the content, right? So maybe this was the navigation, the content, and then the footer. But then this one goes at the top, and then the content, and then the footer, right? This is another one. This is called layout shifter. You just shift the layout around, okay? The last one that I want to show you is when you do something called like tiny tweaks. Maybe you increase the okay, let's see what they're doing. So on different screen sizes, they increase the padding and the font size. Only a few things, it's mostly the same, but for example, when it gets to a smaller screen, the font is going to change or something like that. Okay, let's remove that. Go in responsive mode. You can see how big this is. You can even inspect and see the font size. Font size 2M, 40 pixels. Yes, Bernard?
Yeah, I see Juma is asking, I believe, how you are getting to those devices on Chrome.
Oh, okay. Let me show it again. So first of all, there's something called a developer tool in Chrome and Firefox and any other browser that you can be using. If you want for a particular one, maybe you can tell me and I can open that browser and show you. But if we have a page like this, how do we get into the inspect mode? We do a right click and then we find this word inspect. Not view page source, but inspect. Once we click on inspect, we can just find this line between the screen and the developer tools. The developer tools are here, and let's expand. You can just expand and see we have different things here, which maybe we don't care about right now. But what we care about is this one, which opens by default, called elements. And all I'm doing right now is to move this side to side. But if I want to have a font, I'll click on this toggle device toolbar. Okay. If I click on this, I'll go here on the drop down. I'll find different fonts, different devices, and show how it's going to look like. Right, and I'll have more fonts. You can even add your fonts if you want. Okay, so this is basically what we're going to be working with. I hope that he's answered. Okay, so for now you saw that we have 40 pixels for this text. So when you click here, select an element on a page. You click here when it's blue, and then you come here and select maybe the text. You want to see what this text is all about. So this text is called C1, and it's going to have the font size of 2M. Okay, so let's see what happens when you go on a smaller device. Okay, and boom, right? You can see the shift here. It's big. Here it's small. Okay, it's now 1.5 M, but on a much bigger screen, it's going to be 2 M. Okay, and if we go here, we see that the padding is 20 pixels now. The padding is 20 pixels, and then for here, the padding is 40 pixels, right? The padding doubles, all right? So this is, another pattern, where you have something called tiny tweaks. You just tweak the UI just a tiny bit, maybe increase the font size and, the paddings, or reduce them, or the margins and stuff like that. Okay, so those are all options that you can do to make your page responsive. But how do you achieve this? I'm not going to talk about off canvas, and I shouldn't worry about it too much. But it's also another thing. But it's not like in my opinion, it's not something that you want to even think about right now. Okay, it's maybe not too friendly right now. Like all these. Having the fluid container, dropping the columns, shifting the layout, or doing the tiny tweaks, the most important when you want to create, when you want to create responsive websites. Okay, so let me share this. I don't know, did I share this? Yes. Okay, so how do we achieve this? We achieve this through something called through a CSS rule called @media, right? But before we go at media, MDM, I forgot, right? So we use this CSS rule called @media, and this rule has, okay, so for some people, they might, be scared of using media queries, or, this rule called @media, which is what is usually referred to as media queries. But it's very, very simple and straightforward, and we're going to be using it to structure this. So for larger screens, so we're going to have like a fixed width, okay? We're going to have a fixed width for the page, and for larger screens, we're going to have like maybe this white margin come up after a particular breakpoint, right? And then for maybe for bigger screens, for normal screens, for laptops, we're going to have a sidebar. And then for smaller devices, for phones, we're going to have this yellow come up top. We're going to shift the layout, basically. So we're going to do layout shifter. We're going to do some tiny tweaks, maybe reduce the paddings here, for example. And then what we can do is also maybe reduce the font size for smaller devices. And then we'll have like what we call maybe the fluid container, as we saw. So let's start with this. The first thing that you need to think about is, how does this page need to look like on, different devices? What's the three, let me show you. So the three devices you need to think about is basically the ones that we see here. So we have, let me see. Okay, so we have, I need another one. Let me maybe make it smaller, 75. And we'll have, okay, so we'll have maybe, much larger, much larger devices. Then we have laptops, big laptops. We have, normal laptops, okay, laptop size. And then we have tablet. And then we have, bigger phones, okay? And then mobile, and then small phones, okay? So these are all breakpoints that you can think about, but we just maybe take 3, okay? We'll take maybe 3 of them, but think that, remember that we just take the mobile, and you can just do mobile small, for the layout, and, base our layout on this so that it accommodates the smaller fonts. And then for the tablets, we just use these dimensions, 768 pixels. And then for laptop, we can use 1024 pixels or 1440 pixels, right? And then beyond that, we'll consider that it's a very, very big screen, and maybe you can also accommodate that. So phones, tablet, and laptop. And then maybe a homework, it could be for you to add, for bigger screens. Let's go ahead and do that. We're just going to be putting this on top of, here when it gets to, mobile devices, or something like that. Okay, let's go. Let's do that. But for now, if there's any question, we can take it and answer it before we continue. All right. Oh, okay. The website I'm experimenting with is this developers.google.com. Let me share it. There you go.
Mic check.
Okay. Check.
Sorry for interrupting. I would like to ask, how do we specify the size to be displayed according to the device a person is using?
That's
Thanks.
what we're going to be. This is what we're going to be doing right now. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So first of all, there's before maybe I go on, I'm going to be removing the words so that it's easier for maybe add the words later. But I'm going to be removing the styles that we have here so that I explain something real quick. So I just want to have the containers really. Let's see. Just see the colors, only the colors. Okay. All right. Let me actually start. Okay, so for us right now, we have these two things. Let me add a footer. It's going to make, okay, let me show you. So we're going to have let's have a header, which we're going to call it a header, and the reason is because, let's say header, just let's just have a p tag that says header, and inside of main we have an article that says article, and inside of section we have word that says section. You may even remove the p tags. Let's say header. And then we have a footer that says footer, just for the sake of simplicity. All right. And what we're going to be doing is, let me split this, split right. All right. So we're going to, just for us to be able to write the styles in a much easier way. So we're going to have our main. Main is also going to have the background color.
Mic check, Todo.
Check.
Sarah has a question. I believe you want to look how you start. She's asking why did you decide to remove the previous?
To remove the styles. To remove the styles.
And second, if you could share the HTML codes, someone is looking for them. All right.
Oh. Okay, so I'm still working on this. Maybe share later, but if it's just this, then I can share right now. So what I want us to do is, oh, you want the ones with semantics? Okay, let me first. How do you redo? What's the shortcut for redoing? Edit, redo, control, command Z. No, okay, not working. No, 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 it doesn't. It doesn't work. For this one. Okay, so yes, let's not worry about the HTML. Let's first finish this. Okay, I'll share the HTML later. But the reason I'm removing this is because I want us to start a fresh one for responsiveness. Okay. All right. So first of all, I'm going to have the background. I'm just setting up the background colors. Let's have blue violet for the footer, and we'll have it's not called the side, it's called the header. It's a sidebar and a header at the same time. So it's going to become a header on smaller devices and a sidebar on bigger devices, right? So let's just leave header, like that. So we have our sections here, and we're going to be using Flexbox still to style all of these. But how do we start? What screen size should we start on? Okay, so a good way to do this is to do something called mobile first development. So we first develop for mobile. How is it going to look like on mobile, right? Let's take for example, let's take what's the smaller one? Let's take an iPhone 5 is relatively small. Okay, and then so that you guys are able to see. Okay, so this is how our page looks like, and you can even see the content on the page, right? So the first thing that we can do is to first go into our HTML right here and write something. There's a meta tag. There's a meta tag for content. Let me see if I remember. Let's see how we write that meta tag. It's called HTML content meta tag. Not that one. Oh, okay. It's the tag. Let me steal it from here. It's this one right here. So okay, let me take the 3. Okay, so basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding this meta tag. Basically, the one I needed was actually this one. This meta tag is allowing us to actually develop responsively. What it's doing is basically telling the screen that people should not be able to like zoom in and zoom out on the website to be able to view stuff. That's what actually people used to do. They used to let people zoom in and out on the device. So for us, we're setting the initial scale to 1 and the width to the device width. So this what this will do is to allow us to actually have our page have people who are looking at the page, you know, you can already see the difference. Can you please mute your mic?
And then the guy.
All right, so you can already see the difference. We are able now to see, so if we had it like this, then we'd have to be, like, we'd be able to zoom in on this page. Let me, we'll be able to zoom in on this page and be able to see, you know, this content right there. But you already saw how it was before. I don't know why, maybe it's cached, but when you do this, you are actually able to see your fonts, your font sizes as you set them for different screen sizes. Okay, so what we're going to have on mobile, the reason we start with mobile, I mean, you shouldn't always start with mobile. It depends on how you prefer it. You can, you know, start from up, from top to bottom, but it's better to, you know, to start with mobile because usually the mobile layouts are actually easier to reason with. So it's just usually like stacking up columns, I mean rows on top of each other. So this is why you know, it's always recommended to do mobile first. And if you Google mobile first development, you'll be able to see different ideas on why people should do mobile first. You can even use this CSS tricks website to, you know, learn more about mobile first and why you should do mobile first. Let me share this on Discord. All right, so we're doing mobile first. Let's see how we go about doing that. So the first thing is to make sure that we set the initial scale with this meta tag, and then we go ahead and start. That's basically it. So first of all, we're going to think about to write a media query. This is our first time writing a media query, but this is how we think about it. You know, when we think about mobile first, we write, you know, general styles, and then we, instead of having like, okay, so since I have these, let me maybe make sure that these general styles. Yes, I think these are general styles. Right, so these are general styles, but they are under, okay, let me just remove them because they are just general styles, so that they are all under the same comment. All right, so the colors are going to always be the same, okay? But if we didn't want the colors to be the same, okay, we could do maybe different colors to begin with to see if things are working with our media queries. Okay, so let's maybe first, you know, comment all of these out, or even let's delete them so that people are not confused about what we're doing. So the only thing that we're doing here is that we're setting display to flex and setting the bin height. So we don't need to do this anymore in this case because you know, we don't need that. Okay, maybe the font family, yes. Maybe the color for the text, yes, because maybe we don't want that to change. Okay, but the next thing that we can do is to write the mobile styles. If I can type mobile, right? Mobile styles. Not Bilele. All right, so the mobile styles. So how do we specify, as our friend was asking, how do we specify these styles to be only for mobile? So the media queries, the way we write a media query is that we write at media, and then this is the CSS rule that we need to use. Okay, so you would even think of it as something like this. So you write at media, but we need to give it more information about what kind of media it is, right? So there are different types of media. It's called, is it called like media feature? Let me see. Media queries. The syntax, right? Yeah, so they're called media features. I think, yeah. So they're called media features. So what kind of media is it? It can be print if you want it to be like styles only applied. You know, when you're going to print maybe a particular web page, for example, because you know on a page you can do something like if you do Control P or Command P. This to be on 100%, and if you do Command P or Control P, your page would be printable. Okay, and you can save it as a PDF, or you can even save it as a PDF or even print it if you have a printer. Okay, so these styles will only apply when the media is print. Okay, if we say it like this, say media print, we can actually do like body, okay, background. No, we can select. So here it's just, we write just the normal CSS, but you know, when we wrap around this media rule, is going to be only specific to that media type. So we write maybe the body, we select body as normal, and then we give it a background color of red, for example. Okay, so if we come here, there's nothing, but if we I don't know why it's not applying, but usually when you're going to print it, the styles are going to be applied here. And okay, so this is the date where it's annotating everything, but any styles maybe you apply to the content is going to be applied right there. So maybe the background, I don't know why this is not being applied, but this is basically the whole idea. Okay, so what we want for us, what we want to do right here is to say only screen, and we are going to specify the screen that we want. So for the screen that we want, we're going to think about it in terms of, you know, how big the screen is. And for us, for mobile, we can do maybe say the medium font. It has you know, the width of 425 pixels. Okay, so we can say the mean width is going to be 425 pixels. You don't have to use oh no, it's called, you first say end, right? And then you don't have to say this end is to just say, you know, you're going to add you know, to describe more, you know, what kind of screen is this, and then you add you know, not the mean width, it's the max width. So the maximum width of a font that we want is 425 pixels. And all these styles, we write styles for mobile fonts. Okay, so we write the styles particular to mobile fonts here. So maybe to check that, we can give our main, oh no, let's style the body, let's give the body a background color, of let's give it a dark magenta. Yeah. So okay, so if you go, it's already applied because the screen size is not beyond the maximum that we set. So we said the maximum width for our phone is 425 pixels. Okay, so if you go beyond 425, watch this here. If we go beyond 425, boom, the background becomes the default one, which is white. Okay, so because you're designing for mobile first, right? We have like mobile. This is like the largest device that we have right now. This is what we are assuming. Okay, so any styles, pertaining, mobile phones are going to be here. For example, for maybe the orientation of the page. Okay, so for example, let me have our in the general styles again. So here you write the general styles, but in this media query, you write styles for only fonts. So in here on the general styles, we can have our header, for example, header. We give it a background color, background color, or for example, dark orange. This is what we wanted. And it's going to still be dark orange even on bigger screens. Okay, so you see, only the background is changing for this. So, but it means that we can even do more things, when we switch, when we get to bigger screen sizes. Okay, so for now, let's worry about maybe the colors. Okay, so for the header, we have that color. For the main, we have color. Maybe you have dark red, right? And what is this later? Okay, I think it's this in here that's showing up. So for the footer, you can have an unrelated color as well, just like we're doing, background color, and you can have dark slate gray. I don't even know what these colors are. So this is what we have right now. Okay, so since as I've been telling you guys, reasoning about the mobile styles is actually easy because things are usually stacked on top of each other. And if you want to change the layout for mobile, we come here inside the media queries for mobile. Okay, so what we can do here is, for the body, we can set, maybe we don't even want the page to, okay, let me see. We don't want the page to, let me see. We don't even want the page to have a display of flex yet, because things are just stacked on top of each other for the body. Okay, so what we can actually do is maybe set the header size, the header height. We can give it a height of maybe 50 pixels. Please mute your mic. So we have 50 pixels, but if we enlarge, you see that the header will be smaller on bigger sizes because we didn't set any styles for that. So if you want this to be a general style, we can just set this header height inside of here. Okay, and this will be applied for all the screen sizes because it's a general style. Right, if you go, boom, right, we have the header in one kind of dimension. So we only want these 50 pixels to be applied only on mobile devices. And we want, okay, now, since we see we can need display flex, because maybe we want to create our layout with, flex box, we can actually do that right now. And maybe say, okay, so we want display of flex, and we can also have, but if you want it to be display of flex on all screen sizes, we can just say, come here up in the body and set it display flex. And maybe if you do this, it will be, on, side to side, but we want it to be on top of each other by default. So by default, we come here and say flex direction. We can set it to column, and things will be on top of each other again. So this is the general style, okay? But what's not general is the size of this header. Here it's going to be 50 pixels, okay? So for the article, for the body, we can also set the mean height. The height, because we don't have enough content, you can just say 100 VH, and it's going to be let's add a border around this. 2 pixels. Line, so that we see. Yes, so now you can see that you know, adding the minimum height is going to give it you know, this height. Okay, so that's what that is doing. Okay, just like we saw. So for this content. Yes.
Where you are mean height, Placid asked, how would you differentiate max width and mean width, and how do you know? I think, or how do you choose? How do you know which one to use, basically?
Oh, max. Let me see. Max width and mean width. So max width is basically how big is it going to be? Okay. Okay. Mean width is, you know, how small can it be, and max width is how big can it be. Okay. And we can actually we'll maybe say that on bigger screen sizes, but the mean width is basically so that you know, our page don't look empty when you open it up. Okay, we'll basically see that later on, right? So we're setting the mean height. So the minimum height is this, even if the content is here, but we have the minimum height for the body to be at least 100 VH so that we can have a full screen of content, right? So now what we can do is maybe for this section here, to make it a bit bigger. For the article, it's actually the main. So we can come here and now set the main to, because we have it as, it has like a display of flex. You know, things are stacked on top of each other, and you can actually add more content. Let's add some more content in here instead of the section. You see, we add maybe a p tag with some lorem ipsum, and you see that, you know, this is still going to be growing like that. But what we can do is I don't remember what we can do is maybe set the main to because the main is a flex child, you can set the flex it's this align self. You see, align self stretch will work. This is the basis of that. It's the default. Let me see. So how do we want to display all of this? Okay, let's just let's not worry about that. Let's add some content. All right. I just want us to have like a visualization of how these things want to look like, and we can actually add some padding around the p tag. let's add some margin. Actually. Margin bottom at top of 30 pixels. Yes, yeah, so this is basically how our page is looking like. And we want to also add some height to the footer. So what we can do, some height to the footer for only for the mobile screens. So the height can actually be maybe 50 pixels as well, just like the header. And it will be like this. But if you go bigger, it's going to be smaller. So we need to set, what are the styles for this screen size, right? So for now, we have our page like this, and cool. So what we're going to be doing is actually now making sure that we have, we have this header come to the side when, when it gets to bigger screens. Let's say bigger screens. We can skip the tablet. So for tablet, they are going to be like this. Okay. So if you want to add specific styles for tablet, you can also do it. But let's see. So this we don't need. So we can actually come here and say, tablet styles. Right. So for tablet styles, we still write, our media query, add media, and then we target the screen on the screen, and then instead of saying the max width, because we already have the styles here, we'll say min width. So the minimum width for these styles to be applied, right, is going to be beyond what we said here. So 425, this is the max width. So 426 is going to be the mean width for tablet. Okay, so mean, oops. So the mean width for tablet is going to be 426 pixels. But even if you want, you can say, and if you want to set the maximum width for tablet, we can say, and max width is going to be, I think, let me see. Placid maybe was asking the mean width or max width for media queries. So for here, this is, for example, I'm going to give you an example. So max width, the way you know it, you just look here, what kind of devices do I want to accommodate with these styles? Then you look at the width. This is the width, this is the height. Okay, so it says, 320 by 914, right? 7, like that. Like you just look at the width. The width is this number that comes here at the beginning. Okay, so now what we can do here is setting the max width for tablet. So for tablet, we can see that laptop starts at 1024. So tablet, it can actually be below that. Usually, I like to do, let's see, tablet, and then this is laptop, and this is tablet. Okay, so 768. So from 768, we stop calling that a tablet. So 768 pixels, right? And then we finish our media query by writing, putting them in curly braces, and then we write the styles for tablet. So just to make sure that this is working, what we can do is to maybe change the header to something bigger and see that in action. So we can just say maybe 100 pixels. No, 100. So 100 pixels, and we'll see if the styles. If the styles are going to be working. So as you can already see, the styles are working. So for below 420 something is 50 pixels, but when it gets beyond 420, when it gets beyond 426, it's going to be applying the 100 pixels header and footer. Okay, but when it gets beyond 700, let's see, it's going to go back down, okay, because there are no styles for that. Okay, so this is how you separate them. Okay, so we still want our header to be there for, to be at the top for tablets, but for laptop screens, we want to actually now take advantage of, maybe change the style, the layout a bit. So what do we do? What we do is we write this top styles. So you can add as many media queries as you want based on the things that you're targeting in the devices that you want to target. Okay, so what we can do now is writing at media only keyboard only screen, and then we can set and mean width is okay. Mean width is 768. Now we do 769. 769 pixels. Right? It's just like a pixel beyond the tablet styles. Okay. So we do that and we apply our styles there. So basically, we don't need that if you have the desktop styles, which means that okay. So if you don't have any styles here, let me show you something. Oops. Yeah. So if you don't have any styles here and you don't have the max width that the styles are going to be stopping with, like that, okay, they are not going to stop when it goes beyond the tablet size. Okay, that's why you would want to use something like this. Okay, but since we have this, okay, since we have this here, right? Since we have this here, it's going to be okay, like that. Since we have this here, we're going to be having our own. If you want to apply another header style, we are going to need to, apply this here so that, things change. But if you want only these styles to be applied for, for tablet, we can just constrain them here by adding this. Sorry, by adding another end and setting a max width. Right, but let's see how this would work. Let's say we want to make them even bigger, make them 200. So we would, and notice there's no max width, right? It's only min width. So we are here on, mobile. We get to tablet. We got to 100 pixels. We get beyond 700 something. Then, oops. Let's see. Do you have 200 already? Let me check. We are the styles for the header. So this footer, only looking at height is 100 pixels. On screen width. Okay. Okay, so it's already messing up. So what we can do actually, let me add the max width anyway. But it's possible to have one style be cancelled, just like these styles were cancelled by this. This can also be cancelled. I mean, this can also be cancelled by these styles. So let's add the max width so that we actually say. So max width of 768 pixels. It's just these numbers are based on what we see here. So 668, right? Right there. So we have 68, we have 69, we have 25, 26, and then I have 25, right? So when you save this, right, we have this. Wait, did I introduce a typo somewhere here? Mic check.
Check.
Okay, let me, for Benjamin, let me see. Let's see. Okay, so this thing is for disabling viewport zooming. So for Benjamin, you can look at this one.
Dodo, we can see your screen.
You can see my screen. I just want to open up a code pen real quick because I probably introduced a typo somewhere. So let me copy some media query. Cool. All right, so I'd set this before. All right, so it's basically the same thing. There's no HTML, it's just the body. So I'm targeting the body, and with the body, on a very small screen, we have 400 pixels. We can actually do 425, just like we did 425, and then can do 426. Yeah, so when it gets to 426, it's going to turn red, maroon or red, and then is going to be yellow. I mean, this other color, this yellow, this golden color when it gets to 961. And we can even set another one for bigger screens. Just setting the mean width with like 1440 pixels. We can maybe set it to another color, maybe becomes maybe dark. Maybe becomes gray. Okay, let's make it black at this point. Oh, black is not visible. We can make it gray beyond 1440p. So we'd have to go wider, right? Like when it's wider than a laptop screen. This is a laptop screen up until this point. When it gets beyond 1440p, it becomes gray to show that it's a different screen size. Okay, so to check that, you have to do this. So this is mobile as well. This is tablet, and this is laptop, a small laptop. This is a larger laptop, right? 1440p. That's where I'm taking the dimensions, 1440 pixels, and then beyond that, it's beyond 1440p, it's like bigger screens. Okay, and you can mimic this in your browser by just reducing the percentage here. You are able to see even larger screens, even up until like 3000 or something, right? Beyond 1440p, so that you cannot miss a thing on all the screen sizes. Okay, so let me share maybe this pen with you guys so that you can maybe consult it. Right. Yeah, you can open that pen and you can even play with this. You can have different screen sizes, maybe mobile small, mobile large, mobile medium, maybe tablet small, or desktop small or medium. Have depending on maybe the users you're targeting, the devices they have. But usually it's mobile, tablet, and desktop, and larger screen sizes. These are wide screens. Okay, so these are usually the breakpoints you'd have.
Excuse me, Dodo.
Yes.
Yeah, how we board on the phone, mobile side. How we board. How
you
we
said?
bordering. How we bordering on mobile phone style.
What do you mean? What do you mean bordering?
Bordering. Yeah, you see when you're running the challenge, you give us hands. We say we're gonna border on the light, the card preview card. Yeah, we're boarding on the right and the left. I guess it's not looking the same as in the phone.
Oh, in the phone.
Yeah.
You mean like when you you mean like when you have a different screen size?
Yeah.
So what you can do is actually like changing the borders. If you're bordering top left, because you can actually add borders depending on the orientation. So border radius. You mean the border radius, right? So you can add the border radius, on top left. You say border top left radius, right? You only border the top left. Let me show you. So if you add only, let's say, border, right? So this is like you can use the shorthand. You can just use border radius. This is the top. Wait, this is 30 pixels all around, right? But if you wanted to do 0, right, you'd only be doing these corners, these corners like this, and then 0 is this corner. So you do this corner, okay? But if you have four elements, you can do individual things. So you can do like 10 pixels, and then you can do even more, like maybe 20 pixels, and then you can do maybe 5 pixels. Right, so this is how you can do it. So this is 5 pixels. This is so it just starts from here to here to here to here. Right, so it comes from this side, this side, this side, this side. So if you, for example, if you want to border this and this, what you'll do is you can. This is the one you have here. So you can just do 0 for the left ones, and then do say another 30 pixels, and it would just border this one right here. So if you're on a different screen size, you can apply these styles based on what you want. And if you're on maybe another screen size, you just want to border the left, this and this, you can just use this and say 30, and then you add 0 here on a different screen size. So you want to have like your vertical scrolling with the borders. Right? So it's just like playing with the styles you already have. Just the plain old CSS we were writing, but putting them to use based on based on the screen size. And with Flexbox, what you would want to have is actually changing maybe the flex direction. Okay, so maybe let me add something here real quick. And same, and then we'll have the mouse. Auto completing. Okay. We have the mouse. Let's call it a header. Right. So what if you have this, for example, what you need to do with CSS is to actually, let's say, okay. So if you have like on mobile, you want things to be stacked on top of each other. Maybe you have this, right? But maybe for tablet, maybe for desktop, you want them to be to not be stacked. You just have to say, let's say body display display flex, and then for mobile it's going to be stacked and in tablet, but for this one, for desktop, it's going to go side to side. Okay, and you can do whatever you want with this and play with it, right? This is how I would I would tell you. Basically, usually, like, you just play with the display flex and the flex direction if you want to change how things are going to be looking on different screen and different devices. All right. So I don't know if we have any. Oh, my verse. Let me see if I can change the earphones. Is it better now?
Somehow.
Check.
Check. We can hear you. Check.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Give me a sec. I need to. Yeah, can you say something again? Is the voice better now?
We can hear.
Absolutely. All right. Cool. So yeah, this is what I was saying. So what we'll need to do is to just change these CSS rules we use for layouts and put them let's say if it's display, if it's flex direction, we just change it inside of a media query, and things will be applied when that media query is applied, right? For example, that. Okay, we can even do the same here. So if we maybe have it as display flex to begin with, we can just be changing the flex direction. So if I have it as display flex to begin with, so it's going to be side to side, right? And all we'll have to do is, for maybe mobile, we want it to be flex direction column, and it's just going to be applied for mobile. If it gets to, because it's not on tablet, it's going to be side to side on tablet, like so, and it's going to be stacked again on desktop. It's not applying. Okay, let me remove this. Yeah, okay. I removed the color, that's why. Background color. Oh, no. All right, so it's going to be stacked again here and here, okay? But if we add this property to tablet again, it's going to also take effect, same as mobile. Then for desktop, it's going to be stacked before you know it. Yeah, so it's basically that, and just going in there and playing with it and experimenting, and that's about it. All right. I think what we'll do is maybe answer questions on media queries on Discord, since there's a challenge that I need to talk to you about before we close, and that challenge is going to be an opportunity for us to actually go ahead and apply these media queries. I know some of you guys have been using these to even in the first challenge, but the first step would be to apply these to stack. I don't remember it was like the cars that we had, the cars preview cards. Oh, they're here. Stack them like this. It's just changing the flex direction and maybe changing the font sizes for these. And once you have something like this, then you'll be well equipped to do the next challenge. Okay, let me find. Give me a second. All right. You guys can check on Discord. Let me send it in general because the challenges channel is kind of lost instead of other channels here. Let me send it on general. Oh, it's up there. Okay. Let me send it here as well. We have challenge 1. All right. Yeah, so it's a coming soon page. Let me open it and share the screen. You can already see it. Oh la la, I didn't give you. Okay, I had sent the wrong link. Definitely. Let me change it. All right. Yeah, so this is the coming soon page. And the same as the first one. And yeah, same as the first one, and it has design for mobile. This is the desktop design. This is how it's going to look like on desktop. Just some logo, some text, you know, an input and a button, then an image, a few icons, and then some text. So the way it's going to look on mobile, it's going to be looking like this. Yeah, instead of having the input on the side, now the input is going to be on the top and the button is going to be at the bottom. And then you have the image and the links as well. Right? This is how it's going to be looking on mobile. Okay. To have a full view of the page. So it's just a single page, basically. Right. So this is challenge 2, and we have the rest of the week really to work on it. Since time didn't allow, we'll probably talk about Git another day, but maybe for now we can answer some questions about you know, about responsiveness, about the challenge, and yeah, and what it says. So it's basically these are the instructions, and then sorry. So these are the instructions, and this is the link. So you can go ahead and open it and then ask questions. Okay, I saw one question in the chat. One one question in the chat that was asking about Placid, max width and min width. Let's maybe look into that again real quick. So as you can see here on the screen, we are using max width to start with the mobile styles. But then when we get here, we use max width. How do we decide? What if we use min width? Okay, let's say we use min width. But what this means is that we're going to say at least the minimum width for these styles to be applied is 425. Right? What this will do is that if you go to 425, there's nothing. There's going to be nothing, because like this is not going to be blue, because we are saying that we are going to be applying these styles when at least the minimum width is 425, right? If we say maximum width, okay, if we say max width and we say like 5 pixels, right? Our styles are going to be applied, but if you get to like 5 pixels and below, if you go to 4 pixels, right there, you can see. Let me maybe make it 20 pixels so that we can see what I mean. Okay, so 20 pixels. Okay, so when you do 20 pixels, we're going to have our styles until 426, because it's the next. They're even called breakpoints. These are called breakpoints. Okay, but if you use like this mobile first, it's usually better if you use min width, because you're starting here. So you start with max width for mobile, and then you use min width for the next breakpoint. Okay, so you have our min width of 20 pixels is going to work. Okay, but if you say 0 pixels, let's say 0 pixels, right? Our styles are going to be still applied, and you can just say, right, up until we get to 0 pixels, these styles are going to be applied. Okay, but there's no problem. There's no problem with that. But what we need to do is to say, okay, we are going to be applying these styles for everything we have, as long as the max width, as long as the width is not beyond 425, which is what we want. As long as the max width is not beyond 425 pixels. Okay, so it's still going to work the same as, instead of saying 0 pixels, you just say max width is 425. When it gets to 26, boom, it's going to be going to this area right there, right here. Okay, and so on and so forth. So the same thing here. If you say a max width 426, is only going to stop there. It's going to be the same as this. So you say the minimum width for tablet is 426, and it would still apply those styles if we didn't have anything else beyond that. Do control. Yeah. So let me maybe remove this. Oh, this keyboard. All right. So if we remove this, for example, for desktop, there's no, okay, this will keep going up until it gets to the widescreen, because there's no breakpoint for desktop. Okay. If there's nothing here, the styles are going to be applied throughout. This is why starting with mobile is going to be easier, and setting the min width. If you set max width, 420, there's not going to be any styles here. But if you get to the mobile, there's going to be some styles. Okay, right, and this is taking over because we set the max width of 425 as well. So what we need is the mean width and now be able to set if we get to 426, it turns red. And if we set the styles for desktop, oh la la. Right, if you set it for desktop and we get to the desktop size, it's going to turn yellow like that, and so on and so forth. I hope that you understand, but if you start with desktop, then you can also, like, you can just play with, the minimum and the maximum. You can even set them to be, let's say, and you can set them to be like within a specific range. You can set the minimum and the maximum all the time, which should still work. So max, so that, like, if you're not sure about, oh, should I only use minimum, where do I stop? You can just set the min and the max all the time. So the max width is going to be 460 pixels, just right before the desktop. So 460, and it's still going to work the same, right? You see, and you can still do that with desktop, right? But since this should also work, so 1440p, the max will be 1439. 1439 pixels, right? Right before this. So this is still going to work the same, right?
Mic check.
Check.
Yes, I would like you to briefly show us how we can deploy the websites on GitHub, because we do meet some challenges.
Oh, okay. So basically, because I thought there was no time, that's why I wanted to maybe reserve that its own session. But since you guys are here, let me show you just briefly how you can do that. So this website of ours that we have here, let me maybe close this. So we have this website, and how do we put it on GitHub? Okay, so first of all, you need to go on a website called GitSCM. GitSCM. Yeah, download like that. And you open that, you download for your, if you have Windows, you download for Windows. If you have Mac, you download for Mac, and you install it. Once you install it, you have a Git command available for you. Okay, so we have, we have our terminal. For Windows, you have something called Git bash, right? When you download this is what you're downloading, and you have something called Git bash, like, Git bash, right? You have Git bash, and you can be able to open it like this. Okay, so if you open Git bash, it's the same as this, and usually you have to go, let's see. Let's say, for example, we have desktop and we have our website here. What you'll do in Windows, you right click here, you'll see something that says Git bash here. Okay, for me, it's here in quick actions or services, new item tab here. Okay, for you, it will say Git bash here. Okay, once you do that, it's going to open, a tab with, with your website here. Or an easier way is to use VS Code. You can come here on terminal, you can just say new terminal, and Git bash will open here. Okay, and basically what you'll need to do is, once you have this, you can check Git You can check your Git version, Git -- version. This is, you see something like this if you have Git installed, correct? If you don't, this will not show up. Okay, so what you will need to do is to type a few commands. The first command will be git init. This is to initialize, to tell Git that, okay, we need to track this this folder right here and everything in it, and know what's happening. You'll see that things will change. If you're using VS Code, things will change into green. This is because you're tracking everything, all the changes that we added here, any changes that we made here. Okay, it's going to be tracked by Git, and that's the first command. Maybe git init. Maybe we'll maybe show. Let's see. We have
how if we do Git tomorrow?
Clone. Okay, it's the same thing though. We're going to have to commit again, and git init will do it. Okay, let's do git clone. It's also possible. So the thing that you will have to do is to go on github.com and open an account, sign up for an account, which I'm hoping that most of you did the other day. But if you didn't, you can just go on github.com, sign up. You have something that looks maybe like this, maybe with less activity, but you'll have this plus icon here. This plus icon is going to allow you to create something called a repository. A repository is just a fancy name for a folder, okay? Once you click on it, you give it a name, just like, any other name. So ours is called website, and you can leave it public so that people can view it, and like people are going to be maybe looking at your work, and then you can create a repository. Just click on that. Okay. Once you do that, you will have like this folder. It's empty right now, but what you can do is actually two things. Okay. The first thing that we can do is to clone this. It's just kind of like download this folder. Okay. To download it, you just copy this link, right? You just copy this link, but for you, it might be on HTTPS, which is okay. You can just copy this link and you come here. You're just, we'd be mixing things if you just clone this. Let's just add the remote, then I'll show them how to clone, right? So so for you it might be on HTTPS, right, like this, and because maybe you don't have SSH set up, but what you will need to do is to run these commands. The first command, which is called git remote add. What this means is that it will be, linking this repo or folder, right? It's a folder, but it's technically called a repo, and this command will be adding it to your local project, right? This project is, there's a it's not linked to any remote repository. It's already a repository, but it's not linked to any repository. But you need to first run git init, right? If you are done, running git init, then you can run this command. It's called, I copied it. It's here, right? It says git remote add origin. This is the link for your repo, right? You see that this will be the link. If your username is maybe Bertrand, you have github.com/Bertrand/ your repo name, the way you named it, and then .git. Once you press enter for this command, it's just going to return nothing, but this will be something because if you run something called git remote dash version, you'll see, no, not dash version, git remote, I think it's dash v, git remote dash v. Yes. So if you run git remote dash v, you'll see that you see two links, which means that you can add code to the remote repo on GitHub or get code from there, which is called fetching. So you can fetch or push. Okay. This will be the second step. So first of all, we run git init. Second, we run git remote add origin and then the link to your repo. And where do you get the link to your repo, or this whole command? You get it from GitHub after you create a repo like this. Okay, and what you need to do as well is the next thing you need to do is to check if you have anything to push to this repo, right? We already have everything here, but Git knows about them, but it hasn't saved them. So to save them, you'll need to do something called to commit. Okay, so you do something like this, git commit. So these are like the basic Git commands that you will need to use every day you want to push some code on GitHub. So you do git commit. Okay, git init, you run it once. Git remote, you run it once. But git commit, you're going to have to run it anytime you want to save some work. And git status is another one that you will use to check the status of your repo. You see that we have some untracked files here. When they're in red, it means that they are not saved in a way. So it's called being tracked, being committed. So what we'll do is to commit them or save them to Git. Okay. That way we'll use a command called commit, git commit. If I can type git commit with a message. The first message in a Git repo is usually init or initial commit. Initial commit. Right? A commit is kind of like maybe like a version that you're saving at that point. Okay. Oh, but we can't commit before we save the work. So to save the work or adding it or tracking it, we see that it's untracked. We do another one called git add, but we can add, a single folder or a single file, like we can say git add index.html. But doing that and if you run git status, you see that index.html is added, okay? But we can do that for each one of them. So to add everything you have in the folder, you do git add dot, which will add everything in the folder. And if you run git status, we'll see that everything is already added. So now we can run our command, our commit command, git commit with a message of initial commit, right? Saying that, okay, this is the first time we have committed in our project. Next time you can say, you updated, this or that, you did this or that in the message right here. Right? It's just a description of what you did, in that commit, right? Or that version or that save of the project. Okay, so now what you can do, Samuel, please don't do this. Don't annotate here. Okay, the next thing that we'll need to do, so we initialized our project, we added the remote, this one, and we've added all the work to Git, we saved all the work to Git. Then the next thing will be to push our code to GitHub. How do we do that? We basically have, in Git bash, you'll see something like this. It says main, right? Main means it's a branch that we're working with, okay? So this is like a copy of our project. This is what we're working with, okay? So we're working in the main branch, right? We don't need to worry about creating other branches as of now, but we're going to be pushing our main branch to GitHub, okay? The way we do that, because we have if you say git remote -v, we have the ability to push to this GitHub repo or folder, but we call them repos from now on, okay? We push to this GitHub repo, and we are able to even fetch if there are things that are there that we don't have here, okay? So we have that ability. So to push, we run this command called git push origin, because it's called origin here, and then we specify a branch that we want to push, which is main. Okay, so we say git push origin main, like so. And then when we press enter, it's going to be pushing. Yeah, you might want to sign in VS Code. Let VS Code in, and then it will sign you in, and then you'll be able to push. Your code will be pushed after that, and you'll be done, right? And then when you go back to your repo here and you refresh, let's hit refresh, we'll see that we have all our work, right there in GitHub, and we have the commit message we had, which is initial commit, and this is the basic that you need to know. I can send those commands on Discord and see if they can be able to help you guys. I don't know if maybe this answered your question or if this is going to help you guys, but we will have a session dedicated to this, or part of the session dedicated to this sometime this week. All right. Bernard, did you monitor the chat?
I was looking, did not see any messages.
Okay. All right. There's someone asking for the Discord link, invite link again. Please, if you already are on Discord, please create an account. Don't join as a guest. Create an account. Sign up with Discord and the person who asked already left the meeting. But anyways, let me share this again. But if you join Discord, sign up. Don't join as a guest. You might end up not keeping maybe your name or your details or your groups that you are in. So make sure that you yes, Kevin, you join as a normal user. Sign up with Discord. Kevin, did you want to ask something?
Mic check.
Check.
Yeah, I forgot to lower down the hand, but it was answered.
All right, awesome, cool. So with that, I think we are done with our 3 hours. We went a little bit over, but the first thing
Sorry.
Yes, Gilbert, you want to ask something?
Yeah, I have a question. What do we call about? I want to differentiate about when they say master and main. I don't know how to differentiate. I see someone use master and main.
Okay, so a branch can be called anything. It can be called yellow banana. It can be called purple hippo, anything that you want to call it. But it's better if you call it something descriptive, okay? Like main or develop, or if it's maybe you're working on the homepage, you call it maybe homepage or something like that. But for the main branch, the branch that we usually have as default, these days they are called main. They used to be called master, the one that comes by default. But because of the Black Lives Matter thing, we don't want to call it master because it implies that there's also a slave, okay? So, just to fight against the idea of slavery, GitHub decided to just have main as the default. Yeah, so it can be called anything really.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else before we close? Okay, let me see in the chat. All right, nothing else. Thank you, guys.
Sorry, another question. Can you please share those code?
Yes, I will.
With me.
Oh,
Okay,
it's actually on the Git repo that we have right now. Let me see.
Okay.
So,
thank you. Share the link.
Right.
GitHub.
Yeah. So we have the code pen here, and we have we have the GitHub repo there. All right. I'm going to be sending the Git basic commands and maybe a resource to learn. Let's hope that next time we meet, you have at least a Git repo, an account and a Git repo with some code. Okay. We can start with challenge 1, putting it online, putting it on GitHub. And you can also even do the same for the session. I mean, the challenge, the next challenge, which is challenge 2. All right. Yeah, Augustine, I'll try to maybe go into details, but this is why we said it's going to be maybe a little bit challenging sometimes. So you need to go back in, use the resources that we provided, and learn more about these things. And start small. Start with maybe changing the colors. Once the colors are working for maybe the background only, then apply styles based on those breakpoints that are working. Instead of writing all the styles and then finding out that the media queries are not even working. All right, cool. I'll be sending these basic Git commands and the things that I did to be able to push that project to GitHub, and I'll let you guys go out, take a break, and start to work on the project and keep learning as well. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'll be seeing you next time. Francois, as we are closing, people are leaving the call, but as we are closing,
as we are closing, I have a question on this challenge number 2. Yeah, I've seen that the kind of interaction on this challenge. Are we going to use only this CSS and HTML, or are we going to introduce kind of JavaScript thing? As you told us that JavaScript is mainly for that.
All right, so you'll try your best to the best of your abilities to use HTML and CSS. And if anything requires JavaScript, you won't have to worry about it until that time comes when you learn JavaScript next week. Okay, so just do the things that are only in the bounds of HTML and CSS. I'll maybe clarify that on Discord.
Cool.
Thank you.
Mike,
yes, Emmanuel.
I'm not aware of which is next challenge for today or tomorrow. Yeah. Which one are we going to work?
Is the first one is done. It's supposed to be done, and we even added another day yesterday. So if you're not done yet, if you haven't applied the feedback from the TTL, you still need to apply that, because on Friday we will be presenting the 2 challenges. Okay. So the first one and the second one. The second one is this new one, and since we've learned more things, we'll have to have the desktop version and at least the mobile version. Maybe not the tablet, but at least the mobile version. Okay. But they need to look good on different screen sizes. So the 2 challenges are still valid, but the most important one at this point is the second one. But don't forget to apply the feedback that your TTL gave you as well. If you don't have a TTL, talk to Mike Angwandia on Discord. He'll try and find you a TTL or a group to join, a team to join.
The next challenge, you are going to post it on Discord. Are you going to post the next challenge on Discord?
It's already posted under the challenges channel. It's in information. Let me send it. Let me send it in general as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Awesome. Anything else?
Mic check.
Yes.
I checked on the new calendar. It shows that we don't have a session tomorrow. Is that true?
Yes, it's true.
Okay.
The next session is on Thursday, and then the demo for the 2 challenges on Friday in our particular teams. We won't be on one on one session like this. We'll be on different sessions, like maybe 3 or 4, depending on how many people actually worked on challenge 2.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? All right, maybe nothing else. Let's. I'm going to be closing the call in a minute. So you are free to jump off. Thank you guys for coming.